Hello and welcome to today's episode of Thrive After 45. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, heart whisperer, midlife mentor, and mirror. Every week, I am honored to share energy and space with inspiring guests whose stories reflect so many possibilities of thriving beyond 45. Together, we'll uncover the whispers of the heart, the power of midlife transformation, and the wisdom that fuels expansion. Have you ever wondered what truly separates people who talk about health and fitness from those who actually live it, mind, body, and spirit? Today's guest has spent nearly 3 decades showing the world that eating right and training smart isn't just a slogan, it's a lifestyle, presence, preparation, and purpose. Dr. Len Lopez, affectionately known as They Call Me Dr. Len, brings more than 30 years of wisdom as a licensed chiropractor, natural medicine specialist, author, and trusted media voice in holistic health and personal development. You may recognize him from Good Morning Texas or other national broadcasts where his blend of expertise and authenticity has inspired thousands to take charge of their well being. Dr. Len's journey began with a simple vow to never, and this is his quotes, look like an idiot when speaking about health, a spark that ignited a lifelong passion for mastering the connection between nutrition, movement, mindset, and high performance. Through his in office work, radio and television appearances, and now his 5 steps a day app, portable pull up bar, and workhorse fitness system, Dr. Len has empowered over 1,000 people to recalibrate their energy, resilience, and results from the inside out. We're going to explore not only how he teaches people to eat right and train smart, but also how his work has expanded beyond health and fitness into helping others develop mindset and habits that sustain success in every arena of life. Welcome to our show today, Dr. Len. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hey, thank you so much for the invite, Denise. I'm just excited to be here and looking forward to chatting with you and your audience.
So I have to start by asking, you've been in this field for a long time, 30 years plus. How has your understanding of what healthy means evolved, especially for those of us in our 40, 50s and beyond?
Well, it's funny because as we were chatting earlier, just the people's information is everything. And over the last 30, 40, 50 years, we've gotten more information. And I'll share a story with you. I didn't share this with you before, but it's like, I started out in medicine and everything, and I was going to go in that path. And then I said, okay, I met a gentleman on an airplane. I was flying back from Houston to San Antonio to see, mom and dad and everything. And I happened to meet, he was an investigative reporter. And we just started chatting and everything. I know, like in my early 20s, and he was just telling me how that, in medicine, what we call alternative natural medicine here in other parts of the world, that's considered medicine. What we call tradition, our medicine
Yes.
today, that's called the alternative medicine in other countries. And it really got me thinking about how other countries use herbs
Mm,
and flowers and various things to help heal their body. And it got me to start scratching my head a bit. And I remembered when I was a kid, my aunt, she was what in the term is called a curandera, which is the Spanish word for healer. And,
mm.
and and my dad would say witch doctor, but she was a curandera, and people would come to her, and she had no formal educational training as we would think in the medicine aspect, but she was learning with herbs and flowers and chanting and various things. People would came to her. I got to see her, sitting behind the couch. Me and my brothers watching her do what she was doing. It was kind of like an old episode of MASH, when the Korean voodoo doctors, witch doctors would come in. But it got me scratching my head. And so that kind of got me to evolve in my thinking. And at that time, I was also doing a lot of, I shouldn't say bodybuilding, just weightlifting, trying to
Yeah.
just I was a skinny, scrawny little 18, the kid getting sand kicked in his face and everything.
Yeah.
But so I was reading lots of books on health and fitness and nutrition and stuff like that. So it really got me. So this got me to start pivoting in my thinking, and
Mm,
that's how I ended up here. As far as just doing how does the body function? How do we nourish the body? What are we doing that's interfering with the
mm.
normal process? And that's what I've really been able to make a living off of, I guess.
I love that. And thank heavens that you are, because I want you to impact more than the thousands you've impacted. We have tens of hundreds of thousands, millions of women in midlife years who are going through so many physical changes in their bodies. And it changes not only our bodies, but our minds and how we feel about ourselves. How do we begin to understand through the lens of eating health and being smart and being fit, whatever that may be for someone? How do we begin that journey with everything that's happening in ourselves?
I always tell everybody the whole everything begins with eating right and training smart. And there's three basic principles that I've outlined that I've seen with my patients over the years. And I'll tell everybody the first two are really important. The first rule of eating right is do no harm to your tummy. I say that because when patients would fill out my health questionnaire, and they were kind of sectioned off into various systems of the body, and the one section that was always filled out the most was that digestive function,
Yes.
digestive ability. Just because you ate it doesn't mean your body absorbed it. If you get
Ooh,
bloated, gassy, poopy, burpy, sleepy after you eat, that's a sign your body didn't dig what you put in there, and you're not going to be able to really extract the nutrients that you need to really run the nervous system, the mental capacity, the hormonal system in your body. And so, and I say that because most of the patients I always saw that had, I mean, yeah, I had those that came in, hurt their shoulder, hurt their ankle, hurt their
sure.
knee, hurt their back. But that was, we were just more on the physical aspect. But I had a lot of most of my were something else. It was just, arthritis, diabetes, osteoporosis, some of the idiopathic MS, lupus, Crohn's that people weren't getting the results from, and they said,
Right.
I don't want to just keep taking more medication, and they would say, they never talked to me about my
Mm,
diet. They say it really doesn't matter, doc. Just take this medication and that'll help you. But guys, just because you ate it doesn't mean your body absorbed it. If your tummy explodes on you, whether in the first 20 minutes or an hour and a half later, we'll talk later or another time about whether it's an upper GI or a lower GI or both that needs to be remedied. But you have to take care of that. And then the second part of number one is just what's causing your distress, because is it well what you eat, you're eating all the wrong stuff, or is it how you eat on the go, on the run, in the
mm,
car? Because when you eat like that, you're literally turning your digestive system down and not allowing it to do its job, which is to produce all the necessary enzymes and acid to break down your protein. And so many people, because they're going through the drive-through, they're trying to race to the
yes.
office in the morning, trying to race back from lunch to get back in time, that they're just on the go. And they're turning their I don't know if they can see me or
Yeah.
not, but they're
Yeah.
turning down their digestive system, and they're
Right.
cranking up what's called the sympathetic system, their fight or flight system. And it
Mm,
just, when you eat, you're supposed to let it work the other way. And I would tell everybody, we've known for thousands of years you should sit, eat, and relax. Unfortunately, there's not a pill you can take for that. But if you, as I like to joke, if you watch any old classic movie, Braveheart, Gladiator, you don't see them racing down the hill on the horse, swinging a sword in one hand on the way to work with a turkey leg in the other. That's what we live our life now. And so, when it's time to eat, sit, eat, and relax, enjoy your food, because maybe that's why you're having all this explosion in your tummy, is because you're eating on the go, on the run, in the car. You're not giving your digestive system and the opportunity it needs to produce those necessary enzymes and acid to break down the protein. And the fact that everybody's eating, or I
Yeah.
shouldn't say everybody, a lot of more people are eating more protein. Guys, you need acid to break down protein. No acid, there's no protein digestion. That's going to further create that explosion inside your body. And so it's not just what you eat, but it's also how you eat. So those are the first things, because you get those first dominoes in line. And I say
Yeah.
it that way because so many ill health problems, and I know most of your audience are female,
Right.
but most of having a tummy ache, getting bloated, getting gassy, that's kind of, people are more than happy, in my opinion, to tell you their hormones are out of bounds, their sinuses are going crazy, but they're not going to tell you how gassy and poopy they are. That's just not
Right, right, right.
and so it's they don't deal with that, but that's really the first domino that falls, and then fifth or seventh domino down there. Oh, my immune system
Mm,
is attacking itself. Those are those idiopathic problems that we're talking about that people
right.
are having. And so you have to get back to the real cause. And so I always tell everybody you have to learn to eat right and train smart to get what you're where you're trying to achieve.
Love that. Thank you so much for the concrete example. I'm going to see Braveheart very differently than I have in the past. I love that. That took it home for me. I can remember when we were driving kids to events. Never had enough time, so eating right was never about it wasn't about the right wasn't about what I was consuming. It was about timing. I don't have
Right,
enough time. We go through the drive through. Oh, I'll get a bagel instead of a hamburger. That's better. I've made the better choice. Probably is a
right.
bit better, but in reality, we're chewing away as we're driving and it's not slowing down everything. I also love what you say in terms of just because you're eating it doesn't mean you're gathering the benefits from it.
And that's the biggest misconception that people have, or when I sit and talk with them, the light bulb goes on,
Yeah,
but you had to push on it to get the light bulb to go on for a minute,
of
but
course.
you don't really think about that. You say, oh, this is a better choice. Look, it has a little heart symbol next to it. This must be good for me, even though I'm eating it on the run, on the go. And again, what's causing your problem? Is it the food you're eating? You're eating lots of processed, cooked,
Yes.
refined foods is one thing, right? Maybe it's you need to do a better job of combining your foods appropriately, which is really important, especially if you have this, as I like to say, a twisted ankle of a tummy right now. But it's how you eating on the go, in the hurry, in the car. Now, yeah, I do that too. I'll travel maybe once a week, once every other week or so, and I'm rushed for time also. So I know when I'm going to do that, there's ways to do it also
Right.
to where you lessen any potential blowout there. But yeah, you have to just look at how you're eating. Just because you ate it doesn't mean your body absorbed it. Because the only thing you should feel after eating, guys, is just less hungry. If you're feeling, burpy, burpy, poopy, sleepy,
Yeah.
any of that stuff, that's a sign and you're not going to get the value of the nutrients because your body still has to break down and draw out the macronutrients, the micronutrients, the carbohydrates, the protein, the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the vitamin B's to be utilized in this system we call our human body. And so it just
Right.
doesn't automatically happen by just swallowing it. It's a whole new, the factory has to get to work.
Love that. Such brilliance. And I've never had a conversation that's opened up that door of understanding before. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
cool. Well, good.
Wonderful. You started out as the health and fitness guy, focusing on helping what you just talked about. How did that eating right and training smart, how did that evolve into guiding people into more personal development and mindset work?
It was funny because when I got out of school, back in the 80s, the early 80s, when I graduated and was
Yeah.
it was moving on, I realized, hey, they educated me on how to think and how to fill out paperwork and do all that stuff. But it didn't get really help me think about how to be successful, get to the next level. And I noticed over the years when I was in practice with my patients there, they would sit there, they'd come to talk to me about health and fitness issues, so to speak, and we'd
Right.
be talking. And as we created more of a relationship, friendship, and everything, they would share more, and I would hear some of their concerns that they're not where they would like to be in their life, in their other venues of their success in careers and relationships, things like that, right? In their spiritual
Right.
walk. And so I would hear that, but I always felt like, okay, they're here to talk about this. Let me make sure
Mm.
I stay in my lane. And we
Hmm.
would touch some of that a little bit as well. But it was must have been one day, not too long ago. I was being interviewed for Authority magazine, and they asked me a question about. We did an article on health and fitness, and they came back about a year later. They said, "Hey Doc, we want to do another one on health and fitness, but we want to do it on body, mind, and spirit." I don't
Mm.
know if that's within your realm or what you think. That might be kind of for some people, maybe, but they just kind of preface the question to me that way, and
Sure.
which made me feel okay. And I thought about because I had created 5 steps a day years earlier, and so I thought about it. And I said, let me share with them and everything. And
Hmm.
so I sent it to them the next morning, and everything. And I was so I don't know what to say, jubilant. Because they came and said, "This is the coolest thing we've ever seen, Doc." There's all kinds of techniques and journals and apps on how to track your physical activity and journal. But this is kind of a unique thing where you just visually in 2 minutes, like you say, you shade in the step of the action you took. And there's something about visually seeing your footsteps and the progress you're making or lack thereof of progress
Right.
that it further anchors into you. And so after we did the article on that, it really got me thinking about, maybe this might be the stepping stone that I can use to because we'll talk here in a minute, hopefully, about what the steps are. But that's kind of
Yes.
how it evolved because they saw it and it got me to believe. Kind of like you tell your kids, you can do it, you can get it hit and everything. And so that made me feel, oh, and so I kind of shared that with about another half dozen or close intimate, we all have our
Yep.
intimate circle, right? I
Sure.
shared it with them, and the thing that really the good and the bad because they all came back and they read like the little one pager that I created for it, and they said
Yeah.
this is really cool, Doc. Or they want to call me Len. Len, this is really cool. This yeah, I really liked it and everything, but yeah, no, it doesn't need to be a calendar. It needs to be an app. And two, I need my kids to read this. And so
Ah.
it just really got me thinking about it. And it was kind of cool because then another month later, my student pastor at the church that we attend, they came back and said, "Hey, Doc, hey, Len." No, no, they call me Doc. He said that we really dig that thing, that 5 steps of thing for that teen version that you created. We're doing a weekend conference with all the teenagers and everything. We'd love to have you come in and share some of that
Mm.
because one thing that we never realized as I was writing out what I think are the concerns for a teen, and I'm the father of 3 teens, right? And
Right.
is that, hey, we I always say, we give our children, our kids, full control of how they feed their mind by the time they start their second decade of life. I mean, we
Mm.
don't let them start driving a car until they're 16 years of age. But by the second decade of life, they are making they get to decide what they want to put into their mental shopping cart. And I
Right.
use that analogy because my kids always say, Dad, why don't we buy when you're old enough and you're buying stuff, you can decide what to put into the into the shopping cart. Until then, mom and dad get to figure out that, what that is. But as a teenager, and you're 10, 11 years old, and I thought about it, and I remember trying to encourage my kids to do A, B, and C. Oh, jump in the pool when they were 2 years of age. There's that timidity in there, that fear, that
Yeah.
negative self-talk that happens, and then that expands to, ooh, I don't come. Let's go say hi to the new neighbor. No, no, no.
Ah,
Just a lot of that
right.
internal
Yeah.
self-talk starts going on, or you
Yeah.
heard something, and so that's what steps is all about, just trying to help. Are you feeding not just, are you doing the things you need to do just for your physical body? Are you counting, you tracking your steps? But what are you doing for mind and spirit? And so, uh,
Love that. Tell us about the 5 steps. I'm pretty sure I see it right behind you as I am looking. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see the visual. There is a book behind Dr. Len saying 5 steps a day. Share, share, share. I want to understand deeper. What's this about?
That's the journal. Okay, that's just a
Okay.
written journal. That's because again, I first created it as a calendar, but all my confidants tell me no, it needs to be an app. So we're just finishing the app right now,
Love
and
it.
and and the steps is just it's just an acronym for sleep, think, eat, physical, and spirit. Body, mind, and spirit. A lot of your viewers here, I'm sure they're tracking
Yeah.
their physical steps, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do anything physical? In mine, did you do the letter P? Did you do anything physical today? Did you carve out some time to be physical? I'm not concerned about what kind of physical activity, but did you do take some kind of action? If you did, you shade in the letter P.
Right.
Did you eat right today? I'm not counting calories if it's organic or grass fed or you had an extra serving. Did you have more good meals today than bad?
Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And if you did, shade into E, that kind of covers your physical body. And again, you can see in less than 2 minutes, you can shade in the
Yeah.
steps to see what you're doing. And there's something about visually seeing, kind of like
Yeah.
the footprints in the sand that I think we've all seen those photos, right?
Yes.
And so let me go back to the first two letters, the
Yes.
S and the T. Sleep. Did you sleep and dream with a smile on your face? Did you fall
Mm.
asleep thinking about where you want to go in life? And as you dreamt about where you want to go, that smile came upon your face and you fed your subconscious mind the next 7, 8 hours that way. Did you think better today? If you
Mm.
did, shade in the T. And I said that because, we've learned biblical times, the man is the man thinketh. What kind of thoughts do we
Right.
feed our mind? And researchers say about 80% of the thoughts that we tell ourselves are negative
Yes.
thoughts from yesterday. And so that means maybe we're only putting 20% good thoughts in our minds to feed ourselves. But you look at some of the most successful people out there, they may be at 25%. They still have that some of that negative self-talk, but
Yeah.
so many of us get wrapped up into be that negative mental mindset. You don't need to tell yourself a bazillion times, I feel great, I'm a winner, stuff like that. But a minute here, a minute there, a minute there,
Mm.
that could slowly start moving the needle. It's a drop in the bucket. And as my mom
Bucket.
would say, you put more drops on that, more drops keep on coming on that carpet, you're going to make a big old stain and it's going to be your rear end. So it just takes a
Yeah.
little, a little, a little. And are you doing it? And
Yeah.
and the last S
Yeah.
is spirit. Did you work your spiritual muscles today? And I'm a big believer, for me, I always say to neglect your spirit is it's like skipping a meal. It leaves you empty. And I say
Mm.
it because when because I've gone full circle in my walk and I used
Yeah.
to sit there and I could always find time to exercise, to lift weights, to run, to go to this. And I could never find enough time to just open the book and read and be just
Yeah.
to strengthen my spiritual muscle. Then I realized, wow, there's different ways I can train to work my physical body. There's different ways to work
Yes.
my spiritual muscle other than just sitting and reading. And
Love that.
I'm going back into the 80s when we had AM radios and you
Yeah.
might hear somebody talking about. But today everybody's carrying a cell phone. Whether it's to listen to a podcast, maybe you're going to go fellowship with others, maybe you're going to go
Yeah.
serve, maybe you're going to attend. But there's other ways other than just my
Yeah.
25 minutes of sitting down there and reading, which is great. Okay.
Yeah.
But the days are going to come when that's not going to happen because, what do they say? Spit happens, right? And so
Right.
when it
Yeah.
does, hey, while I'm sitting in line on the plane, on the tarmac, on the bus or wherever, got nothing, can I put something that's going to be more possibly encouraging for me versus just the same old doodah stuff?
Yeah. Absolutely. I
And
love
so
what you're saying because it's not only doable, it's actionable. It's concise. It doesn't have to be, I got to carve out an hour to go, did I move my body today? Hello.
right.
Did I think a positive thought about myself today? Those are golden. And what I find in this conversation is it's lighting me up because it's so imperative to make those tiny steps. And just like you say, the drop in the bucket, it's going to be filled very quickly, quicker than we believe it can happen, right?
And it's like one of the doctors that saw this and everything. He came and said, Len, and he's a different kind of he's the mind doctor. I'm more the physical body doctor.
Sure.
But he was saying, what's really cool about this, Len, because you know that you're gonna get more of an endorphin hit when you see those steps
Mm,
and when
yeah.
you shade in that footstep. And so much more. And I always look back to where. And I didn't get the idea from Seinfeld because again I wrote this 25 years ago, but
Yeah.
I heard Seinfeld say and I'm a huge fan of Seinfeld, him saying that, what was attributing his success? He said when he was early in his career, he would get a calendar, a wall calendar, and he would say, if I want to be successful in this career, and we all know he's
Hmm.
become very, very successful, he goes, I need to write 10 jokes a day. That's going to be my, like doing 50 push-ups a day, right? He goes, I
Yep.
need to write 10 jokes a day. And if he did that, he would put an X on that day, a red X on there. And if he did it the next day, another red X and another red X. And then he really started digging, looking at all the red X's. He didn't want to break the chain and see those
Yeah.
white spots in there. And that's what I'm trying to do
Yeah.
with steps is because not every one of us learns by reading and
Yes.
listening. Some of us are very visual, some of
Yep.
us are very kinesthetic. And so when you can look on the phone or
Yep.
on the app or on the
Sure.
journal, you can see how many steps you've created. And it's kind of a pat on the back when you say, hey, I'm doing better.
Yeah.
And if you look back over your shoulder, you'll say, hey, yeah, I think I have been a little bit better. I've noticed them. My attitudes change here, there, and everywhere. And
Yeah.
so it's the little steps, and the journey of 1,000 mile begins with the first step and everything.
Mm,
And so many people are, as I like to say, are caught in this vicious cycle of life.
right.
What are we trying to get out of? Can we move to that virtuous circle? And if you start looking how you feed body, how you feed mind, how you feed spirit, you may realize that, man, I'm not doing a really good job of feeding my spirit or my mind, my confidence, my internal talk, my internal, the two guys on the side
Yeah.
they're both over here yelling at me,
Yeah.
thinking I'm doing things wrong. Well, you need to get the other guy to really help pump you up a little bit. And so
Yeah.
it's just one of those deals. Let me say one thing about that because
Yeah.
the World Series just ended the other day, right? And the Dodgers won. Okay, it wasn't the Astros, so that's okay too. But you can say, or I should say the Rangers also. But it was great hearing Mookie Wilson, the All Star shortstop for the Dodgers. They asked him, how did you feel when when there was nine? It was the 11th inning, 2 outs to go, and he
Right.
goes, what? He goes, this is the guy who's been an all-star for what, a dozen years, right? He goes, oh man, I was like, no, don't hit the ball to me. I don't want, but he goes, no, be nasty, be nasty. That's his mental cue that he uses to kind of just change that emotional state that, yeah, we all have those times where, we feel the water's coming over us and everything. And,
Right.
ninth inning of the game or 11th inning of the game and everything. Yeah. Do you really want the ball coming at you and risk, creating the area out there? But as he said, his go-to word is, be nasty. That was his mental cue and everything. Everybody's going to create their own for themselves depending on their genre of
Right.
who they are. And there's the other one. I like, there's he's a the professional soccer player Mark Fisher. His is to clap his hands, which makes me think of like Mr. Miyagi. We all know Mr. Miyagi. He does
Yep.
exactly. He's ready to
Yep.
do something. So you find cues to help move that mental
Yep.
state sometimes, because if you keep staying in that quicksand of that mental negative
Right.
energy, you just take the 30 seconds, a minute or so, and let me finish the statement here because Denise, because I've had people say, so you're telling me, Doc, if I just tell myself I'm bigger, I'm better, and bolder, that's going to make it different. That's going to change things. I go, I'll tell you this. For that 1 minute that you're telling yourself you're bigger, better, bolder, that's one less minute you're not kicking yourself in the rear,
Hmm.
and beating yourself down. And
Right.
so I don't know what it's going to take. Everybody's different. Everybody, they say, how long does it take to improve your habit? Some people say 21 days, some
Right.
people say 90 days. It depends how much effort you're going to put into it to
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. And so it's just about it's starting small steps. take those
Yeah.
first few steps and
Yeah.
everything. And so I encourage your audience, check out 5 Steps a Day. It's an app that's
Yeah.
free to download and check it out. It's also just a regular to-do list. You can just,
Yeah.
track all of the various to-dos you got to do. But what are you doing? The main to-dos are feeding body, mind, and spirit. And then you can, in my opinion, the second level is getting the groceries, getting your dog to the cleaners, getting your car washed,
Right.
all those other things as well.
Yeah. Um, what's coming to mind is the big rocks. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm sure you have the analogy where they have the glass, let's say, and they say, now find your big rocks. What are most important to you? Start with your big rocks. And then when you put those in first, there's room for other stuff to go around it. If you don't look after those big rocks, and you've done such a fabulous job making it simple, clean, clear, actionable, it's your decision what you're going to do for the steps. What is going to be your spiritual path? What is going to be your thinking path? And I love what you're saying. What might be right for you will be not right for somebody else. It doesn't matter. It's not a comparison game, right? I know through the work I've done with me, by me, because of me, and with the work that I do and support my clients, the thing that I think is really imperative in everything that you're sharing is that there is the mind piece, and we play games with our mind all the time. What we say to ourselves. So I like how you're saying the space of the positivity isn't going to make everything change overnight, but it cuts off the opportunity for us to think we can't. There's a commercial on Ford right now, and it's like, if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Whatever you think about will become true. So taking what you're thinking of, and actually I feel that this 5 Steps app will allow you to focus on it in a way you haven't before, which will bring new light of learning and understanding about what you do spend time thinking of, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And you said there was a commercial that for the Ford talking about that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it was Henry Ford who first came up with that. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. To phrase it that way, I think I
Exactly.
said,
Same.
yeah, because I mean, you go back to Gandhi, back to
Yeah.
scripture. There's been phrases like that. Man is as a man thinketh, but Henry
Hmm.
Ford phrased it that way. Well, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes we don't realize that we've allowed so much negative
Yeah.
talk get inside our head, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to call it stinking thinking. All we
Yeah.
want to do is just take a little bit, a rock here and a rock here, just a minute or two here, half a minute,
Yeah.
whatever. But and as I said, and there's no guarantee it's going to make it a big difference. But if you, it's going to keep you from beating yourself up as much as you were, and maybe just one less step. Maybe if you get to 78-22 instead of 80-20 as far as good
Right?
and bad thinking, you don't know what's going to be enough that's going to change the river flow now. And
Exactly.
so it's just taking action. It's simple, it's easy, and as my dad said, would always say, hey, you can quickly see if you need to give yourself a pat on the back,
Yeah.
or if you need to get a good kick in the butt to get yourself moving and everything. And
Absolutely.
because so many people, I would see it in my office, complaining, complaining, complaining. But it's like, what are you doing to see if you
Mhm.
can make a change? Because right now, being the older guy, I didn't say old, the older guy with
Yep.
teenage
Yeah.
kids out there trying to, teach them and see that they're about ready to step out into the cold, cold, cruel world of
Yeah.
you get out of life what you put into it.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping and expecting you're going to get all this stuff here and there. It just doesn't happen. It's going to be those who rise to the top, who go raise their hand, ask questions, who take action and step forward. They may get that attention, they may get that opportunity, they may get that promotion. And so, oh, they didn't call me. I don't know what to do. You
Yeah.
have to break out of that shell and everything. And
Yep.
the meek shall inherit the earth and everything. But it's just
Yeah.
one of those processes. We're just trying to help you. And come back to my kids, because they would always say, Dad, your cooking stinks. Now, I'm gonna say that they're not true on that.
Yep.
Dad's a really good cook. They cook everything in one pan, still like a bastard, right? But 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 yeah, I go, hey, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
You get to decide how
Yeah.
you feed your body,
Yep.
how you feed your mind, how you feed your spirit. You don't need to share 5 steps with anybody. You can if you want to and everything,
Yeah.
but you can just kind of say, hey, I'm done good. And again, that
Yeah.
that was really helpful for me. And I'll share, how I kind of years ago back in the 80s when I was, as young and single and everything, I would kind of track on my wall calendar
Sure.
some of the things I was doing because I was out of college, I was employed now, living by myself. I didn't have roommates all the time.
Yep.
It's like, okay, I want to, yeah, I'd like to be a better golfer. I'd like to be a better dancer. I'd like to be more limber. I want to make sure I read X number of books a week and month
Yep.
and everything.
Yep.
So I would make notations on my calendar. And that's literally how 5 steps got started because I would
Of
see at the end of the
course.
week, end of the month, I would see, what letters I used and to help me keep track of what I was doing and everything.
Yep.
And then I realized, ooh, I got the acronym of, sleep, think, eat, steps.
Yeah.
It covers the whole body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect. Brilliant. Thank you
Well, thank you.
so, so much for this conversation. Before we say our goodbyes, is there any final words you would love to share with our audience that you haven't actually hit on or deepen our understanding from something you've shared?
Well, let me share this as far as
Yeah.
I always talk about I don't know if I want to do fitness stuff or go back to the step, but let me say this something about like in the sleep step, the step. I always tell everybody, what do you have a map? Why do we use a map? You look at Columbus and everything, all
Mm,
the old sailors, you use the map to navigate yourself where you want to go. Unfortunately, people don't know where they want to go. Do you have any goals? Maybe you don't have a goal right now because you're not sure, you haven't really thought about it. But if you have a goal, which is like the
hmm.
map, it tells you what you want to achieve. I want to have this vacation. I'm planning for that. I want to buy this new car. I want to buy this new house. I want
Yeah.
this job. I want that corner office. I want to audition and get this spot here. I want to, whatever it is, you have
Yeah.
to kind of know where you want to go. You need that
Mm,
map because to go back to what's the old expression? We've all heard of the proverbial land of milk and honey. Whatever it is for you, that's a great destination, the proverbial land of milk and honey. Now, so many people, because they don't know where their land of milk and honey is, they don't have
right.
the goals what they want. And if you don't know where your land of milk and honey is, don't complain when you land in the
Yeah.
headaches and you land in the land of headaches and heartaches,
Yeah.
because that's what life's about. Because a lot of people that don't know where they want to go, why they're waking up every morning to go to put their shoes on to go off to work somewhere, if they don't know where they want to go
Yeah.
with their life, it's easy to get swayed and lose direction, the wind in your face. But if you have
Yeah.
that map, that goal, know kind of where you want to go, whatever your land of milk and honey is, it gives you direction, something to
Love
aim
that.
for. And when you have that inside you, and this is according to research, not just this is not just me,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
they'll say so many less than 80% of the population have any kind of goals or anything written out for themselves or what they want to see or do. So if I can just encourage you, think about where it is you want to be. And for a lot of the health and fitness people I work, hey, if I want to get to 130 pounds, I want to lose 25 pounds, whatever that is, or I want to go from 12-inch bicep to 15-inch bicep, you have to know what it is. I want to start exercising. There has to be a reason for it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's easier to fall off the path. And so,
Yes.
why do you want to get to that? To whatever your land of milk and honey is, whether it be
Love that.
physical, spiritual, mental, you've got to find it for yourself. And when you do, it gives you direction in your life. It gets planted in your subconscious. When you go to bed at night, it's easy to see it in your mind.
Right.
Again, that's kind
Yeah.
of like what vision boards are for and things like that. So,
Sure.
sorry for going on and on, but you
No,
got me started.
that's okay. That's what we do here. We light the flame. And we do this, you will do this, listeners, for you, by you, because of you. Not outside, but it's your journey, your work, your path of opportunity that's sitting, waiting for you to begin that very next step. And in our show notes, we will have all the information that you need in order to access Dr. Len's brilliance that he is sharing with the world. It is such an honor to have shared this space and time with you today. I've learned so much, and I'm going to go look for 5 steps because it resonates so much with me. I love seeing progress and I love being able to look back to see where I was once, to see the growth that happens because we get stuck in, I haven't done enough. And then when you have that print or that app showing you your history, it's amazing. It actually allows that compass to keep focusing forward. So thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Yeah, that is it. Because I have journals and journals of stuff I've written, and I don't have hours to go back and read it, but I can look on my steps for 2 months ago, 3 months
Yeah.
ago. Hey, yeah, this was a good week, a good month. Oh man, that's good. So I can see. Hey,
Yes.
yeah, things have started coming a little bit better. Yeah. So it's the reviewing your journal is always the hardest part. Writing it out isn't so
Yeah.
difficult for some people. Going back and reflecting on it is. And so
Right.
what's really
Yeah.
cool about steps, so you go back and real quickly see, are you doing what you need to be doing to get where
Yeah.
you want to be going?
Exactly. Thank you again for being here with us. It's been an honor and a privilege. If this has resonated with you, this conversation has lit something in you, please make sure you follow, share, give a review, and go and look for Dr. Len in the internet world. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.